The government of Ghana has placed job creation at the heart of its economic recovery and transformation agenda. This is anchored by the newly launched 24-hour economy policy. Now, beyond the headline promise of 3-shift, round-the-clock production and services, the plan is supported by structural reforms and targeted programs designed to absorb new labor market entrants and tackle youth employment generally. Now, that's why in this edition of Hot Issues, we explore how government is preparing for the tectonic shifts required for the promised 300,000 new jobs per year to be realized. In this edition, we delve into lifelong challenges governments have faced, such as matching public sector productivity with wages, managing the wage bill, which has been identified as a drain on the national purse. But also, what different will this new government do for pensioners or when you retire? I am Keminni Amanor, and in this edition, I pay a visit to the office of the Minister for Labour, Jobs and Employment, Dr. Rashid Pelpuo, with one aim: to get you answers to these questions. Honorable, you're welcome to Hot Issues.
Thank you very much.
The 24-hour economy was launched fairly recently, and for 72% of Ghanaians, according to latest data, they believe that that is the pathway to creating jobs. Your own government has set an ambitious 1.7 million jobs, new jobs really, over the 4 years of its implementation. How did you come by that number?
Well, we have come to this point after realizing the new economic activities that will take place, the infrastructure that we are going to put in place, the agriculture transformation that will take place, the job training skills we are going to pass on, and a lot of other things we are going to do is going to also challenge businesses and organizations to increase their labor requirements. If you combine all these things, you will get to the point when we can get to that point. We could even pass it. Remember our big push. Remember the commitments we are going to make on it. Remember the fact that if we want increased police services, we have to employ more police. If we maybe security service, we have to increase the number of police, security people. If we want to get involved in training people, not just to sit down, train them, equip them, get them into the market. These are all levels of commitment that can increase jobs in the country.
I see. So, I mean, what types of jobs would you say will be created over the 4-year period? Are we looking at permanent jobs, temporary jobs, skilled workers? What are we looking at?
Yeah, if government is increasing its capacity to manage security and they are increasing the number of security people, would say that is permanent jobs. If we are embarking on a bigger situation of increasing our infrastructure developments, and we need some workers to be in it. We need more engineers. We need more skilled labor. We need lots of other people who are going to get involved. And the job is not going to just be a one-day wonder. For example, if we are constructing a road, asphalt road from Tamale, so from Tashiman, right up to the Burkina Faso border, Hamele, it will require lots of commitments, you know. So there are some that will come as a result of the jobs we are doing, the investment we are doing. That can change into permanent job with time. There are jobs, there are types that will put you into a job situation which you can run for life. For example, if you train you and equip you with skills to do a particular kind of service, provided a particular type of service, that is going to be a lifelong engagement. So even with those that appear not to be permanent in nature, the increasing skill requirement, training, capacity building in those areas can lead you into a permanent situation of jobs. So it's a combination of both.
I mean, if the government is able to create at least 1.7 million jobs over the 4 years, we are holding everything else constant, then we'll say that we would have eradicated to a very large extent joblessness in this country. For the opposition NPP, these jobs you are promising are fairy tales.
Well, because they have run through a fairy tale kind of life before, they think it's the kind of thing we are doing. No, this one is a real committed response to the challenge we are facing today. It's not going to be fairy tale. Lots of countries are also approaching us for jobs abroad. We are responding to them. We are not going to take all our young people out of the country. We are going to give opportunity for those who want to do it, work outside. But I can tell you, the 24-hour economy is not going to provide jobs that can be described as fairy tales. We are determined and we are making it. It's not going to be something to be overlooked by the fact that it's just a pronouncement. You know, we've presently we've done enough of we've done enough of estimations and we've gone through a number of scenarios to the point that we know that once we launch and we are moving, we are not going to stop anywhere. It is about rebuilding this economy. It's about resetting the mind of people. It's about telling people that, look, the jobs you are doing, it's not just for you to earn money, but for you to leave something for the future. In the past and in the near past, the impression in being in government and doing a job was to make as much money as possible. Not related, not regard the impression about the fact that it will have a consequence on the nature of the economy and the nature of the generation we are following was not part of the thinking. We want to now for people to think that when you are working for not just yourself, but a future you are not necessarily going to inherit. Somebody else is going to inherit. It is what makes Europe what it is. You go to Europe, you see the 9 streets, you see all the good things, and you praise them. They give you the opportunity to come and work here. You are gathering the money and putting it somewhere. Now, after you are no longer in government, what are you going to do with that plenty money? And so we now want people to commit themselves into working for the country and making sure in doing so, they know that they are contributing to a national development in a specific manner.
I mean, a key pillar of the 24-hour economy policy is our ability to change the work shift system from what we have today, an 8-hour to 8-hour times 3. So then we work the entire cycle of the day or evening, however you look at it, right? What is the state of the amendment to the Employment Act or the Labor Bill?
Well, we are trying to look at it. We've been looking at it. It's gone very far. But there's a small debate about it. You know, we've had a number of meetings concerning the amendment of the act to reflect the 24-hour economy. But the lawyers, you know, they are at cross purposes as to whether there's a need to change anything at all. If you say people would work for 8 hours, you are not saying that 24 hours doesn't mean that one person must work for 24 hours. So if 8 hours is the minimum number of years, the maximum number of hours one works, and then you have an opportunity to add another 8 hours, it must be somebody else doing it. That is the concept, not the same person doing it. So you don't need to put in the budget, in the law that 24 hours, not by one person, but by 3 people. It may not be necessary.
Right, so are you saying the only thing holding the laying of the bill in Parliament is the determination of whether or not one person will be working that 24 hours or 3 different people will be working the 24 hours?
No, not at all.
So then what is the hold-up? Why hasn't it gone to Parliament?
No, to do a law, you have to go through processes.
Okay.
We are in the process, giving it to give it to the Attorney General, who will then look at it, then it will go to Cabinet will pass it, and it will go to Parliament. So that process is going on. So eventually, when all the processes are done, but I just told you about, when you asked about the 24-hour economy,
That's
whether
correct.
that is going to be affected. I gave you the impression, the debates as to how to amend that portion, which is not a big deal at all. Today I was speaking with the first deputy speaker, and he thought that there was no need for amending that part of the law. There are other areas that we are looking at. So eventually it will come to cabinet, and then cabinet will pass it on to parliament.
I mean, but, for clarity's sake, the work on the labor bill had been started by the NPP. So by the time the NDC came to office, they had finished with work on the labor bill. Is that correct?
It's not correct.
Okay. Where had they got to by the time you came to office?
When I got to office, I realized the committee had not finished doing the work. There was a proposal for me to change the committee and appoint a new committee.
Right.
Because we wanted the thing agent, I asked them to go back and present me a report of what they have done. They have done that, and I'm giving it to another committee to examine and to finalize the issues. Government is a continuum. Once it had been worked on by people who knew the law, who know the law, interpretations on the issues will only result in us saying that this thing doesn't mean what our policy stands for. But within the scope work, the framework of how the labor law should look like, there are very basic areas that we don't dispute about. But we simply want it to reflect the present legal circumstance in our perspective about the policy of labor, especially the job, international labor migration issues, and of course the 24-hour economy. So we see that these should be captured in a manner that should not erase them, or that should not warrant a second revision when a new government comes. They have to be permanently inscribed, and they should serve the purpose of our advancement in the labor law of Ghana. Yeah.
When can workers expect that the draft bill will get to Parliament? When can they expect that you will take the amendments to Parliament?
In about a week or two, the committee will give me a comprehensive position they have on it, given the guidance we have given them. Okay. After which, Attorney General, which he had already looked at parts of it, so we are going to send it back to him to have a look, and then it will go to Cabinet. Cabinet will determine when it will go to Parliament.
I see. But, on the subject of the timing, where do you stand as Labour Minister? Should we really amend the labor, the labor laws to include the 24-hour timing? What are your personal thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that we would need to ensure that we don't give an impression that 24-hour economy means working for 24 hours, which can be misinterpreted by, some employers who want to exploit the people to their disadvantage. So it has to be very specific as to when we mention anything about 24-hour economy, and the law is not equal to definition of real policy action. It should give broad understanding of policy, which then can be interpreted by a legislation, an ally, a legislative instrument. So the instrument should now come and specify all these things to the letter. So people know that 24-hour economy, 3-in-1, and all that. It will be explained further in an ally. And so that's my opinion, that we should leave the broad definition of the law within the labor law, and then the interpretation of it in the detailed manner will be found in the LI.
How many jobs would you say that your government has created within the short period that you have been in government?
I wouldn't be able to explain it down, but we've done a lot.
Okay.
We've done a lot of job creation. Right now, I mean, because it's something that is going on, you wouldn't be able to put a hand on anything. But I can tell you, the Ministry of Labor has inspired a number of job creation through the agencies all over. And along the line, maybe by next month, we would have reviewed the 6 months that has passed. And then we would see how many jobs have been created.
By the numbers.
Yes. We have worked with a number of agencies who are creating jobs, and then the opportunities are there for people who are taking advantage of them. The Youth Employment Agency is doing a lot, passing on information to young people to take advantage. In our case, we are now working on about 2,000 to 3,000 people we want to send abroad, and they are also there. So because there is a dynamic process, it won't be easy to put on a specific number and say we have created this number of jobs.
We'll take a break. When we come back, let's look at some key labor issues like pensions, like labor productivity. You mentioned earlier labor migration. We know that the ministry has been doing some things already. We'll look at all those things and then we'll narrow it down to concerns that have been raised by labor in public sector. Don't go away. Welcome back. It's still hot issues here on TV3. In this edition, I'm sitting with the Minister for Labor, Jobs and Employment, Honorable Rashid Pelpuo. We've been discussing issues to do with the 24-hour economy and the bid to create jobs, some 1.7 million of them over the next 4 years. Let's get into some key labor issues now. And Honorable, thank you so much for your patience and sitting with us in this edition. The first one I want us to look at is pensions. And I want to take you back to some of the issues around pensions that we've had, particularly in the last administration. But let's start off soft, right? When people retire, the general concern is that my retirement payout is never enough. Why do you think that is the case?
Well, I think it depends largely on the jobs you were doing, how much you were paying for your pension or your SSNIT contribution, Social Security contribution, and how much you are involved in the 3 pension schemes.
Yeah.
And if you earn a small salary, the likelihood that you are going to contribute very little to your own security. And so when you retire, the benefits you are going to get will reflect your contribution. So it's largely because of how much you spend in it. It also depends on how much the investment by the SSNIT contribution, how much you earn out of the investment that is made. Normally, when you pay, and the money is accumulated at pension, fund managers will manage it. There will be administrators to administer it. In the end, those monies that have been invested by the fund managers will yield something. So the bigger it is, the easier it is to
get comfortable.
Yes, to make people get comfortable with their earnings.
I see. But you see, some have also said, and I don't want to get into the economics of it, but some have also said that the reason for a lot of people prior to the changes to the pension law could not get a lot of money from SSNIT is because SSNIT did not invest those monies properly. Now, we've seen an example in the last administration when red flags were raised about certain business transactions that SSNIT was entering in. Now you are in office, in charge of labor. What measures are you putting in place to ensure that those investments that SSNIT makes with people's monies, with money that current labor is paying into them, are put to good use so that the interest accrued to the people, the amount of money they are able to pay them, is enough?
This is a very important issue for me and in this ministry. We are simply regulators of the pension fund. And so what we do is to make sure when the money comes in, it is properly managed, you have the yield and properly stored for the pension. Sometimes the fund managers would not manage it the way that will yield the greater profits or the greater advantage. Now, the question is, if that is what it is, and people are not getting the real kind of earnings, why is it so? Yep. The why can be answered by the kind of people who manage it, and then the legal processes that are involved in making sure those that are managing it are compelled to manage it well. And so in this regime, we are getting the fund managers ready. We have gotten some of them already aware that they are the ones chosen to manage the fund. In the end, we'll look at the immediate past management and see how much had been spent and how much resources are coming in. An assessment is going on with all that, and we see whether there are issues we want to reform. The president is eager to do a reform in the pension funds in manners that can make it yield better. And so it's part of the overall approach to the regulatory framework that we are putting in place.
Can you then assure the Ghanaian worker that by the time they retire, and perhaps not even just the Ghanaian worker, but also those who have given their lives to this country and are now on retirement, can you assure the public that their pensions will be better going forward right now?
I don't know what it means by better, because as I said in the first place, if you don't contribute much, you can't earn much. But their pension can be secured, making sure that when they retire, they will be getting the appropriate amount they should get. Yes, they will get that. We can assure them that there won't be shortage of funds and that they will be paid according to their contributions. There is a complaint that the possibility is that SSNIT contributions may not be adequate enough to pay workers. I have tried to, challenge SSNIT on this. They have given me the assurance that they can do it. The last moment I invited all the agencies to come here, there was SSNIT representatives also here. And this accusation was brought forward that there is a high possibility that within the next decade, SSNIT might not be able to fulfill its obligations because period of contribution is different from period of expenditure on the contributors. And the expenditure, they believe, with more people retiring, will create a dent on the overall amount of money to be used to pay the pension fund. They have assured us that the more people are living and earning, the more people are coming in to contribute, and that with the stretch in the contribution into the private sector, there will even be more money coming in. And then he was assuring me and everybody who was there that there should be no fear as to whether they'll pay or not, because there will be enough money for everybody. Right now, we've gotten to about 84 billion Ghana cedis and still increasing. And I think that there will be enough funding for I believe in what he said, that there will be enough funding to meet the requirements.
So workers can be rest assured that there will not be fruitless transactions.
Yes. Yes.
from SSNIT
From
using
SSNIT.
their contributions?
Of course, yes. I believe so.
I see. Let's look at issue of labor productivity. Over the last 2 decades or so, our biggest problem, we are told, is our ballooning wage bill. The NPP has complained, the NDC has complained. Each of these parties have also had their turn in office. But I don't think much has been done about the wage bill. The NDC now has an opportunity to do something about it. What is your ministry's role in ensuring that we are able to nip the wage bill to a point where we can handle?
Well, it's important. The wage bill of public service workers has a direct influence on the amount of money available for development. With the present 10% increase, which people thought was small, after considering it, the Ministry of Finance will still have to look for, apart from everything we spend on them within this budget, we'll have to look for an amount of 4 billion Ghana cedis to add to the wage bill to pay to the less than 1 million workers in this country. Out of 35 million people, you have less than 1 million people having a very huge influence on the total amount of money we earn every year. So, as a result, we are very keen about the wage bill. It has a big influence on the total amount of money we use for employment, for development. And so you ask yourself, the more you increase the wage bill, the lesser you have the capacity to develop in other areas. Should we continue to employ more people within the public service? In the last administration, so many people were brought into the public service. I know of an organization that had less than 1,000 people, less than 1,000 people. By the time the MPP left, there were over 3,000 people being paid by the from government's consolidated fund. And so you ask yourself, should we continue to do that, or should we encourage private sector involvement so as to shift away from government being the largest employer and government being the only secure way of getting a job and getting it permanent or should we encourage other forces, other situations to come in? For example, if you take private sectors, just like MTN, for example, or any of the telephone agencies, or any of the mining companies, or you realize that the benefits there will even be better than working for government, and that they could also be permanent because these are institutions that have come to stay. Should we boost such institutions to be in better position in Ghana? Should we create more situations for more such institutions to come?
What do you think the situation should be?
Banking sector, finance sector, and all those others. And I think that our objective is to create more opportunities for people to come in, for more businesses to come in, more foreign direct investment, more domestic investment, more viable investment capabilities of companies that will absorb labor. So it will help government to move on with using public money in developing public projects, rather than use it to pay yourselves. So it's something that we are looking at in a deeper form.
Would you say that the reason our wage bill is burdensome is because we are not able to link public sector productivity to the number of people who work in the sector?
Yeah, mostly public sector productivity are social services, are not paid for, are not profit organizations. They are not looking for profit. You don't earn enough when you are working for the public, and that's what the public wants, and that's what we agree to structure the government. We are not public profit-making organizations. So we don't expect to gain enough out of that. And so sometimes workers, the salaries workers earn is just enough to keep them going, you know. And so the wage bill, as it grows, it hinders development. But paying workers is part of the development because they have households they go to take care of and all that. So it also helps government not to worry about households if the pay is good. But the productivity means that we need to create a more conducive atmosphere for people to work and earn. For example, if you are working as a road minister, you are working in the public service in the Ministry of Roads, we expect that the consultants you hire, paid by government, must supervise the work so much that the work can last for 10 years, if they say 10 years. If they poorly supervise the work, rather than 10 years, it will last for 3 years. And then the nation loses. What it means is that the productivity we expect from them has reduced. It's not even there. It's absent. If, for example, again, basic something, be in this ministry, make sure you provide room for negotiation of workers so workers don't go on strike, and then do A, B, C, D, and then you don't do it, and workers go on strike and don't produce. It affects the whole country. Productivity is low. The people who should have been there to work, not just the minister, the people who should have been who should have been there to work, do A, B, C, D. If they are not doing it, then things will go bad. If you go to local government, if you go to any of the ministries, you are not earning money from there. But your position is so instrumental that you work to provide a conducive atmosphere for the nation to strive. For people who want to go into the private sector to go into it easily. People who want to register to do private service, private sector work, they go to register, you ask them to pay, they want a job, you want them to pay before they get a job. Then they stop getting the job, putting up the investment. You have not been productive. So productivity in the public service is crucial because it provides enough room for the private sector to thrive, for people to live in comfort, for people to invest in other areas. You don't take money from people who want to register their businesses. You don't take money from people who have invested their money in a government project and want to earn to be able to do an additional job. Then you go and take 10% from them or something from them. The service that you are providing is not efficient. So public sector workers will not be efficient if they are not committed to the job. They may not earn as much as they want, but you have taken upon yourself to do that job. So to link your job with productivity is critical, meaning do exactly what you are supposed to do and do it well.
What then are the checks and balances to ensure productivity?
Checks and balances is just simply the laws that guide against doing the wrong.
But how is your ministry implementing those laws?
I'm not the one to implement it. We have institutions that are also implementing the Serious Fraud Office bill. Serious Fraud Office, they are there. There's a law on it. If people don't do the right work and spend money more than what is expected, they take you on, And we have Parliament, we have the audit service, we have various instruments that are measuring our capacity and our seriousness to work. Where you corrupt the system, then you are called to book. And it's important that when this thing happens, the people are truly scrutinized, prosecuted, so the public can see that these are things that we need to do when we are working. These are things we don't have to do when we are working.
But does your ministry take any interest in the work that those agencies do because it borders on labor?
No, we try to make sure labor doesn't conflict in their duties. They don't fight.
But
we don't do estimation as to the productivity levels and all that.
Isn't that problematic?
It is.
The fact that we don't have a system that ensures that anybody who works for instance, in your office, you have over 5,000 people within this, under your belt, right?
At the end of it all ministries, all agencies do a report. The report is brought to cabinet, to parliament. Parliament looks at it to see where there have been lapses, and then they take it up and point it out to the people. Okay. So those ones, it's a whole chain of process that our ministry will provide a report. The report goes to the Committee on Employment and Labor, and then they do a report to Parliament. Parliament examines it. Where the lapses are there, they point them out. Ministry of Energy, through the agencies, they all do a report, present to Parliament, and Parliament looks at it. So it's a whole chain of assessment process that enable us to view how effective labor has been over the period.
I see. Let's put productivity aside, because you say there is a whole system that needs to be checked. Because then, among other things, you remember when the first term of Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo set up the Monitoring and Evaluation Office to, among other things, check labor productivity. Your system is relying on already existing system that we could say has failed the Ghanaian people, because we continue to complain about labor productivity. Would that work? Would it cause any difference, do you think?
There's no situation you will not complain about labor productivity. Every single time, labor will not reach the maximum 100% productivity. There will always be some shortages. And what we need to do is to use the existing process to continue to monitor within the ministry itself. We have a monitoring and evaluation department here that does that, and that's a report. So where there's a challenge, we look at it, we know the challenge within each ministry. There's often an understanding of the whole transaction of the ministry. If there are failures, they know about the failures, and they address the failures within. Where there are failures and they cannot be contained within, that is where you find them in problems in transactions, and the parliament will take it on, and some of them will go to the Public Accounts Committee to look at the investment plus the output.
What is the state of the single spine salary structure as you came to meet it?
It's functional as we know it. There is a call for a review of the single spine salary scheme. That's and correct. we are looking at it to see whether there's a possibility we can review it and make sure the workers earn much more or adequately. The idea is not for workers...
And equitably.
Yes.
But what is the nature of review that is being asked for?
Oh, it's just to make sure it reflects the real needs of the worker. The workers are going to bring up the review, and then they'll be examined, and if there's a need, we endorse the review. Government will take it up, endorse it, and then rectify it, make it reflect the circumstances under which the review is taking place.
But I have read that a similar exercise was conducted in 2024. Then at the time, the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission was headed by Benjamin Arthur. He had said that a report had been submitted already. A report had been made or produced and was going to be submitted to the tripartite committee. We know that CLOCSAG, one of the groups, has been calling a lot for that, the implementation of that report. Now, you tell us that you're looking at new reviews?
No, it's the same thing. Okay. I'm talking about the same thing. This is the last regime.
Okay.
And Benjamin Arthur is a really great guy. He's technical in nature. I'm yet to get a copy of the review to examine it, to look at it. But of course, I've been told about the review and the call for it.
The call for it.
Yeah, and as it goes on, I hope that they would bring it to my office for me to look at the fair wages. We'll bring it to my office, and then we can pass it on to the tripartite committee to have a look at, and then to government to have for government to now take an action, even though government is part of the tripartite.
I do want to look at the issues to do with labor migration. Since the government came, you've launched a number of efforts to ensure that labor is ethically harvested from the country. The president has been very vocal about it. The last time he spoke about it was at the EU dialogue, the Ghana EU dialogue. Yourself, together with the YEA, launched the Work Abroad program. How is that going?
It's going on well. There is a lot of interest in it. Young people are showing a lot of interest in it. The YEA put across a portal, and right now, within a week, they gathered about 20,000 people, and they stopped it. We have lots of companies showing interest in working in the private sector, showing interest. Lots of countries seeking to have a bilateral with Ghana and a memorandum of understanding with me to make sure this thing operates. Yesterday, Romania came in to have a discussion with us to work on their own requests for workers there. We've had contacts from Canada, from Germany, from the Gulf, Qatar and Emirates, and all over. They are all showing interest in Ghanaian labor. What we now have to do is to be able to show, to be careful, not to be exporting labor we need.
How are you ensuring that?
That we are committed to getting people who have finished school, have stayed for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, no jobs available, we can get them out to work. The aim is not at people who are already working. The aim is at people who are unemployed, have gathered some skills and capacities, and are unemployed and are seeking jobs. And in the near future, they don't hope to get the kind of job they need. We can allow them, export them to somewhere. And more so is that export doesn't mean permanent export. They are given a contract for 2 years, normally first round 2 years. And then after the 2 years, they come back. If the company needs them, they come to sign another memorandum of understanding and still continue to sign contracts with them. And so we can have a point at which we can say, look, this time we won't export labor. If we think that is affecting us, we will put a stop to it. But for now, the nearly 30% of workers, youth who are unemployed. Are seeking jobs.
And you're giving them an option.
Yes.
How do you ensure that when they leave the shores and go and apply their skills elsewhere, they're fairly treated?
It is part of the laws of Ghana that we need to respect our labor. We need to treat them fairly. We need to observe their own rights. We need to keep them not as servants, but employees, and pay them according to what they work for, and ensure that they make choices by themselves. The choice to go and work must come from the person. The choice not to work and come back to Ghana must come from the person. All these things are available to them. And again, all companies that seek to take our Ghanaian workers out of the country to go and work somewhere must sign a memorandum of understanding with me. And there are issues that are streamlined very clearly. What are the guidelines? What can we make sure we get out of the work they are going to do?
Right.
So you state all of them. I have about 4-page memorandum of understanding. You read it as the person going to engage my people. If you agree with them, you sign, I sign. And then I'll put in place a monitoring system. All the people going out will be taken note of.
Will be properly monitored.
Monitored, yeah. And we are encouraging them to set up WhatsApp platforms, and then put us in there. Where there's a problem, you just put it on the platform, then we work on it. Yeah, we won't tolerate situations where Ghanaian workers will go and will be maltreated.
How many of Ghanaian workers have you sent abroad through the program?
Right now, I know of the first 70 workers that were sent to Korea. Were welders.
Which of the Koreas?
South Korea.
South Korea, okay.
Yeah. There's also a number of 300 people who went through the system. I went to look at them, and they were supposed to pass out and leave. And
also to Korea?
No. Also not to the Gulf. Yeah. So those are just the beginnings. There are many more that we haven't certified to go out yet because of the due diligence. Make sure things are properly done, make sure they are properly taken out, make sure they are treated well, and all that.
What assurances can you give young people watching us that, look, we are not just reserving this for NDC grassroots, but for every Ghanaian?
That's why we open the portals. You don't know who is applying. Everybody applies, and if you are qualified, they pick you. They don't question where you come from, what is your party background, or all that. So the first 120 were picked from the portals. So it's not going to be people of Ghana, young people of Ghana. It is not about party now, it's about you, the young person. When we open the portal for you to apply. You don't need to state your party background, just state who you are, your qualification, and the needed information. And if they pick you, they pick you. So if you want to address the unemployment situation in Ghana, you don't dwell only on party, you dwell on merits.
Indeed. While we are talking about labor that we take abroad, there is also a very large concern about foreign businesses in this country and how they treat Ghanaian labor.
Yes.
Especially in the private sector. What is your ministry's plan to protect local workers who work with foreign businesses, local workers who work with in private sector that are often maltreated?
Well, we would encourage all people who are working across board that don't agree to be maltreated in this country nor in any other country. The laws of Ghana are against any kind of discrimination and are against any kind of slavery or punishment for people who seek to build their future by working for a company or an organization. If you are found, or if you feel strongly that your organization is maltreating you, just make a report to this ministry, and we will take it up seriously. You have the labor department. We have a labor department. Make a report there, and then we'll investigate it. And if they are guilty of that, if your employer is guilty of that, we will apply the Ghanaian law against them. You are a great guy. The people listening who are maltreated, you must not allow yourself to be maltreated, and you will be protected by the state.
I see. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at the final issues to do with the National Labour Commission. We'll also look at the nurses who have been on strike and couldn't attend their last meeting. Well, now they have called off their strike, but they were on strike, and their last meeting was called off. They were very unhappy about it. You seem to have inherited a lot of anger from labor before you came to office. It probably has nothing to do with you.
No, not at all.
But how you are handling it is what we will find out when we come back. Don't go away. Welcome back. My guest is Labour Minister Honorable Dr. Abdul Rashid Pelpuo, we've been discussing issues to do with his ministry, and right now we want to look at the National Labour Commission. It is one of the arms of your ministry that has consistently complained about being under-resourced, underfunded. What is your ministry doing to ensure that it empowers the National Labour Commission to deal with labour issues?
The ministry as a whole is a very important ministry. It stabilizes, with its functioning, it stabilizes the working population of Ghana, and it provides room for people who want to enter job for the first time to enter with the confidence that their interests will be protected. And so the Labour Commission is reflective of the ministry's commitment to make sure labor issues are addressed. So it's normally headed by a legal person, mostly a retired judge, so that they apply the laws, to address the labor issues emerging. Such a commission, because the fundamental role it plays, just like the Fair Wages Commission, must be given the needed support. But there is a routine in how the labor ministry is handled, in which mostly the allocations to it sometimes don't reflect the needs of the ministry. Well, a new government has come, a new finance minister has come. I've had a lot of discussion with the Minister for Finance. He's determined to work along with me to make sure our budgets reflect our proper needs, and that the Labour Department or the Labour Ministry will not be seen to be running short of the funding it requires. That also means the Labour Commission will be taken care of.
I see.
So it's part of, I have an intention of even taking them away from where they are and placing them elsewhere to give them more room to operate. I've already communicated that, and I'm determined to do so.
I see. So it's not even just the commission that is underfunded, but the ministry in general needs more funds.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. And what was the response from the finance minister?
Very positive.
Okay.
He thinks so too. He thinks that we need to have a labor ministry that is very functioning, capable, and reflecting the circumstances we find ourselves, so that it can address the many challenges it's posed by labor disturbances.
Absolutely. Finally, let's look at the labor troubles that you inherited.
Yes.
You were just hit by it. All of a sudden, many of the labor groups are bringing they are
all asking for their pound of flesh.
I mean, how do you feel about that?
Actually, I keep explaining to them, it is in the best interest of Ghana to satisfy labor, to do the right thing, to make sure labor earns what they require. Only if government has the capability. We have inherited an economy that has a lot of challenges. In fact, remember the economy at one point, to GDP, the GDP to our debt was like 104%. What it means is that everything you earn in a year, you use your labor, you leave your debt, payment of your debt servicing, to pay for it and still look for 4% to add. So it got to a time when it was 80, 70, and the small is left cannot be used to satisfy the roads that we need, the schools and all that, and still pay labor in an increasing form. Still pay more money to labor. So it becomes a challenge to us, not just to stabilize an economy, but to boost the economy and make it satisfy the requirements of labor. And if we want it now, we will fail. Fail in the economy, and then total collapse of labor also. Because if you pay more than you earn, you definitely are going to live in debts. And a debt is not what we want to run this economy. And that's why the finance minister, very intelligent man, in fact, after conversing with him, I often wonder whether other people knew what we were going through. He brings it down, he makes you understand the situation, and then compare it to what you want and see whether you still insist in wanting it. But workers always demand what they want. You should do whatever. They don't care what it is. It's your job to get the economy right. We want what we want. But I keep telling them, I also understand you, but let's give ourselves just a short break of this 9 months. The budget, the temporary budget was done for 3 months. The new one came after that. And so we had 9 months to run. 9 months to run an economy, 9 months to gain profit out of it, or let me say, to get surpluses out of it, 9 months to satisfy everything, 9 months to rebuild our schools and get the furniture in, do the roads they have neglected for long, and all that. And then still pay labor. So they should understand that we are in a critical period of transformation, and that we should give ourselves some time, not just government for some time, including you for some time, so we can get the economy stabilized to now serve us. If we don't make it capable of serving us, it can't serve us. So they understand. Just before I came here, I was having a meeting with CLOSAC, and they are asking for something. So I told them, and indeed, I'm having a conversation with the minister, and in the end, I postponed the meeting so I could find something concrete to come and inform them in our next meeting. And let me use the opportunity to tell CLOSAC that we care about you. In fact, we work with you. All ministries work with CLOSAC, other local governments, or at the ministry, civil service organizations. Your job is very important. We care about you, but we want you to understand the situation we are in now. And we want you to just be patient enough for us to end this 9 months and come back to you. It will be a better thing to have a stronger, viable, sustainable economy than to move the economy up to a point and allow it to break down. Ghanaians will not forgive all of us. So please, let's work together and earn together. We all need an increase in salary. It is good. So I want to make a promise that CLOSAC is one of my best opportunities to show that I'm working. So we will work together.
Doc, thank you so much for talking to us.
Yes,
we appreciate your time with us.
Thank you.
I've been speaking with Dr. Rashid Pelpuo. He is the Minister for Labour, Jobs and Employment. My name is Keminni, Amanor, and this is Hot Issues. We'll be back next week with another episode. In the meantime, it's bye-bye from us.